Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. And today I'm reviewing Solar Sphere by Dranda Games, who previously made Solar Storm, I believe. Now, Solar Sphere is going to be on Kickstarter shortly, or already on Kickstarter. I'll have a link down below. Everything over here is going to be prototypes and components, the review, rules can change, all that kind of stuff. And I will have some complaints that I think are just prototype complaints, but we'll talk about all of those. Now, for a high-level overview of the game, the general idea of the game, we're going to go into general overview, not the full rules and everything. General overview of the game is in Solar Sphere, you're going to win by having the most points. It's how you get the most points that everything's going to come down to, because you're going to get a variety of points from a whole bunch of things in this game, but there's going to be a few prime areas you're going to want to be focusing on. You're going to want to be focusing on battles with the resistance, where you're going to take your drones, slot them up to go ahead and attack the resistance, and whoever has the most drones in a battle, you're going to add a little resistance die to that battle, and you'll hopefully get chunks of points over there, as well as potentially whoever earns the card is going to get these symbols, which brings us to number 2. You're going to be wanting to want to be collecting these symbols from a variety of places. You see, every 3 symbols, the orange, the blue, and the purple, are going to be a variety of clan symbols, and every full set of 3 is going to be worth 5 points at the end of the game, which means you want to gather those symbols from everywhere you can, which is going to be the resistance ships, it's going to be for the crew, from the top right of all the crew you can hire, as well as from actually building out over here around this Dyson Sphere that you're trying to construct. You're going to see all these various symbols as well. So you're trying to collect those clan symbols. That's going to be a huge chunk of points. You're going to want to be mindful of your morale tracks over here. You're going to have 2 tracks over here that you're being mindful of that can earn you either up to as much as, chunks of points, 10 for being in the last slot over here, or if you're not handling that slot well, you'll actually end up losing points for having too low on those tracks. And then lastly, or not lastly, but mostly in terms of the big chunks of points, you're also going to get points for having a variety of places over here. You'll get like 8 points for a single one of these, and then up to 30 points for having 5 or more locations on this spot. So you're going to be trying to balance different things, getting various symbols, fighting various resistance ships, making sure to be mindful of your tracks, and making sure to build out over here. That's going to be how you get all the points in the game. Which brings us to the round structure. How do you actually do all those things? Well, ultimately, this is going to be a dice placement game. Every single round, you're going to be going ahead, rolling your dice, and then wow, that is a very specific roll. You're going to be slotting those into your docks over here. The more similar dice you have, you'll actually get small little morale bonuses for having similar dice. Your crew are acting in cohesion, so you get a morale bonus. The downside is it means you have less flexibility, less variability as to where you can actually put your dice. So we're going to slot those over there, and great, now I have 6 placements. I have 3 placements of 6s that I can go ahead and put on the board. So maybe I can take this over here and assign it to this location, which accepts even number dice, in order to send my fleets to attack over there. I'll send out my drones to attack the resistance. Perhaps I go over here, where I can put any die, and I gather 2 new drones, which will help me in my conquering of the fleets. So you're going to be going round and around, placing your dice in a variety of locations. This is going to be a dice placement game, all while trying to do any number of things, from gathering resources. 3 of these locations around over here are going to gather the 3 primary resources. You're going to be trying to get new crew, which will give you Tableau bonuses as well as those clan symbols. All these crews are going to give you ongoing abilities, from getting you free resources, converting resources, recycling your drones. Perhaps you're going to actually attack the resistance over here. Maybe you're trying to colonize these various, not really colonize, but build out the slots around the Dyson Sphere. All these dice placement in the game are going to be ways of getting to all the things we talked about, to getting all those bonuses, so you can be mindful of collecting what you need, being mindful of your tracks, attacking the resistance, all while you try to gather as many points as possible before the end of 6 rounds in Solar Sphere. That's basically the game. Once again, gather lots of points by being mindful of a whole bunch of things that all interweave and intermingle, all while working in a dice placement engine of a game. Which brings us to the things we like, didn't like, and can see others not liking about Solar Sphere. Now, this is one of those games that started off as one of many games where I walk into the game, I know the rules, I start playing, and round 1, I'm sitting there thinking, I am not going to be able to get done what I want in this game. There are many games that present that puzzle to me, and some of them I actually walk away from thinking that I can't get done what I want to get done. But Solar Sphere is not one of those games. Across the 6 rounds, round 1, I feel like I will get nothing down. Round 2, I feel like I'll get a little bit done, and it keeps escalating, and when I get to the end of round 6, I feel this game is the perfect length of time. If it was a round shorter, I'd still be trying to get more done. A round longer, and I'm kind of ready for it to be over at the end of round 6. This is a game where the the engine does build up, as you gather more drones into your engine, as you slowly mount up your morale bonuses, because you can constantly trade in morale for various ongoing bonuses that'll give you resources, that'll allow you to recycle dice, that'll allow you to put more drones into your area. So you have these constant bonuses you're generating, and then of course the crew, because you can only have 3 active crew at one time, but when you go ahead and hire a crew, in addition to getting any morale bonuses that may have stacked up because they weren't selected last round, you're going to go ahead and retire a crew, getting a retirement bonus as well. So it has that aspect of building out your crew in a way that complements the current engine you are going for. Everything in this game interweaves and intermingles to give you a ton of different things. As you go to these various locations around the board, you have a choice. Do I go to, let's say, this location over here and simply take a crystal? Or do I go there putting a drone out there, but then the next time I go there, I get a crystal? So you're playing this little game of do I want to get the benefit now where I can build up my engine one way, or do I want to make sure that the next time I go there, I'll get more out of it? Now again, that's 6 rounds, 3 dice a round, that's 18 dice you're placing out. Are you willing to give up a full placement of those 18 to get an extra one the next time you go back? So you're trying to think through which of these cards are worth investing in, which cards are going to be revisited time and time again. But along the way, you also have these little bonus structures in this corner over here, because when you recycle drones, drones are going to be the engine and the economy to everything in this game. Drones are going to be useful to being able to modify your dice, to being able to visit a location that you or someone else already went to. If you want to revisit a location, this is worker placement, first come, first serve. You want to get there when someone else has already gone, and you're going to have to pay a drone to do so. So you're trying to balance your economy in a variety of ways in this game, but it all kind of meshes together in a way that is really works. You have this balance of trading, and I've seen multiple pathways to victory work every single time. I've seen people focus heavily on this main board and get chunks of points there. I've seen people focus heavily on the resistance and get chunks of points there. I particularly am prone to trying to cash in as many of my morale bonuses as possible to get the in-game economy running, but then at the end of the game I tend to have 0 or possibly negative points as a result. But that balances well with the person who chooses not to get those in-game bonuses. They instead get 10, 20 points at the end of the track for being mindful of keeping their bonuses, but they don't have the in-game engine. So again, everything in this game does result in a tight economy, and it all interweaves, but it is brain burnery in the experience it provides. It is one of those games. It's a weird dichotomy of a game here. Because on the one hand, it feels like a heavy, crunchy Euro. At the same time, it's doing so while you roll dice to figure out where your things go, and then add up powers and abilities and tableau building. It is both crunchy and medium light at the same time, in a weird way that does work in this engine. Everything, the bonuses you're getting, all add to your tableau. I like that tableau building. I like the fact that you're constantly developing and improving upon what you're doing, and every decision is tight and every decision is tense, and it doesn't really punish you either. Even things like the spaceship over here. The spaceship is a great example, because what you're going to have is you're going to be adding a die roll. You're going to sit there and say, I'm devoting, let's say, I don't know, 4 clans to this spaceship over here. So you're going to be adding them over there, but you're going to be rolling a dice. But even when you lose, you're going to be able to get the card as well. You just won't get the points. So there's never that investment that comes at a full loss. Everything you do, it might slightly modulate what you end up getting or how quickly you end up getting it, but you're not going to end up completely up the alley with nothing gained for all that you have ventured when you try to conquer the resistance. And then of course the powers and abilities, the tableau from over here, from the crew members you add. The crew members are going to give you a little bit of an engine that you're playing with as well, in terms of whether it's benefits for going to specific locations, which when you pair that up, if you gather this resistance location card over here, this guy's going to give you a spanner benefit, a spanner bonus, one of those little bonus rewards, every time you go to the resistance location. Combine that with having a drone set up in the resistance location, and now you have a great engine going as you try to figure out, I'm going to keep revisiting the resistance location time and time again, and getting both a bonus, a discount, recycling my ships. You can build up these little miniature engines in the game that all work together, and the game is short. 6 rounds is not that long. You're talking about maybe, depending on the player count, you're talking about 45 to 90 minutes for a 2 to 4 player game for this game, but it all works pretty well, which brings us to the things I didn't like in the game, which is not going to be that much, and a lot of them are going to be a little bit pedantic and possibly fall under the prototype phase of things. Now, the game length does work out well. The amount I get done, all that works out well. At the end of the day, while I am fine with the fact that there's going to be mitigation, you won't horribly lose, I don't love that in this otherwise incredibly crunchy game, you are still victim to a decent amount of luck. This isn't a game like Coimbra where you're rolling a common pool of dice and everyone has to work with what's on the table. This is a game where you're rolling your own dice, and that difference is pretty large because it means I can get a set of dice that work well for what I'm doing, and you can get a set of dice that just doesn't. And so that is going to be a factor there, as well as when you're trying to fight the resistance, rolling that white die and what you do and don't get, and whether you have to wait another turn. Sure, the punishment is mitigated, but in a game that is otherwise so close, that can certainly take away from a little bit of the control that you otherwise have in the game. Now, one thing I don't like, or I really don't like actually, is the fact that right now, the way the game scoring is structured, you're only incentivized to ever have up to 5 of these placements over here. Because the game structure, the point system is that you're going to get 8 for 1, the second one you place is 7, then 6, then 5, then 4, and it caps out. Whether you place 5 down in the center thing or 8 in the center, it doesn't matter. And so there's this weird thing where you have an engine that people are going for, and that just kind of caps out at 5, and there's no point going for it after that, which I don't love that dichotomy. It feels like this is something you should be focusing on, and then the point system backs you off. And again, prototype rules and things might subject to change, and honestly, you could probably just house rule it away yourself by just continuing that diminishing return to 3 points, then 2 points, then 1 point. You could continue that, but again, I just don't love the fact that this engine over here, this building up over here, does have some sort of arbitrary cap that the other scoring systems in the game don't have. I don't love the fact that you're trying to score clan symbols and there's no real trackers for those clan symbols, which means both during the game itself and doing scoring, you're going to find people constantly trying to mentally add up, well, I have 4 orange here, I have 5, let me start again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nope, okay, 1, you're going to be having people constantly throughout the game and at the end of the game trying to count the 3 clan symbols they have to figure out what they're low on, what they need more of, and I wish there was some sort of small little minor track you could have to keep those running at the same time. And again, this falls into the prototype category of I think it's an easy solution, an easy little something, whether it's a common track, whether it's your own track. There's a way to have that in a way that you don't have to constantly be adding it up. It's not as bad with the various resistance fighters you've conquered, as well as your crew. Those are all in front of you. But then trying to track your colors on the board and go as... It's a pain. It's doable. It's not the end of the world, but it's a slight frustration in an otherwise fairly smooth and streamlined game. As far as what I can see others liking, this is going to be, as far as what I can see others not liking, this is going to be a fairly thinky and heavy game. It's the kind of game where you look at it, you look at the rules, you look at the mechanics, and you're going to think this is a lightweight, medium weight game, which it's really, really not. This is a heavy, crunchy economy Euro of a game, despite the appearance otherwise. This is a game where everything does intermingle and everything does build up. And what you do and how you do it and the order you do it in is going to result in a fairly thinky, fairly rewarding engine, which just means that people might think that they're signing up for Kingsburg and find themselves signing up for Coimbra Light instead. It's not Coimbra heavy, but it's definitely in that closer to medium heavyweight Euro genre. As far as final thoughts and review on Solar Sphere, this is an interesting one for me because I simultaneously really like the game while having not yet fallen in love with it either. It's one where I really enjoy the mechanisms. I think everything works and meshes together. And at the same time, despite the fact that if you've been following this whole review, it might sound that I'm in love with the game, I still find myself in the just really liking it category. This is one where, and I can't tell, it might just be the mix of the heavy Euro genre mixed onto a theme that feels like it's not. It might be that mental, what's the word for it? Paradigm? I don't know what it is, but there's a word for it. There's a word for it when you have that cognitive dissonance. I might be the cognitive dissonance of feeling like it should be one game and experiencing another. I think it's really solid at what it's doing. I love those moments when you build up a little bit of an engine. Like I said, that example I gave where you have a crew member that rewards you for going to a location and then a drone on that same location. And to that end, you're building up this little cycle where you can cash in on it and benefit from it. Every time you build on over here, you're going to be getting morale bonuses for who you go next to. All the separate, disparate parts in this game all work together to be an engine that I think is really, really solid. And yet again, I find that cognitive dissonance of not entirely sure where the game is or what it's like. For myself right now, this one is a 3 out of 5. You can check my rating scale down below. It's like bordering towards the 4 zone because mechanically, I really like what it's doing. I just somehow, for some reason, I'm not finding myself as pulled in, despite the fact that mechanically it is incredibly sound. Overall, again, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. Very much enjoyed it. Just finding that 3 versus 4 line is where I'm at with Solar Sphere. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. You can find this one on Kickstarter. There'll be a link down below. And as always, have a good one.